Hello, good morning, dear colleagues. Greetings from Riga, which is a cloudy morning here. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear esteemed colleagues from Krakow, please allow me to start by congratulating you on the 550th anniversary of printing in Poland, in which Krakow, the cradle of Polish printing, plays a very special role. I'm very sorry that I cannot be here with you in Krakow today in person, but I'm wishing you all the best. And while celebrating, I'm sharing with you the statement of how wonderful it is sometimes to look at seemingly inconspicuous events, like printing actually sometimes, taken from the mundane of life, like books, and see how they actually create the history of cities, countries, and continents, and what their effect is. So also my interest in book history is to strengthen it as a discipline of history and promote historic research through the lens of book science. Please allow me to quickly share with you my presentation and introduce to you the 500th anniversary of the first book published in Latvian, which we'll be also celebrating in the very coming years. The story of the first printed book in Latvian goes back to 1525. Imagine Wittenberg, Germany, Martin Luther, Missal books, which are printed in Wittenberg in demand of Riga Protestants. The books actually end up being printed in 3 languages. So 3 books are being printed for the Baltic markets, namely in Latvian, Estonian, and Livonian. Livonian meaning most likely a dialect spoken in Livonia, only to reach the city of Lubeck and face the guards of the Catholic City Council, which decide to destroy the barrels of books by burning them. Indeed, it is actually fascinating that our beginning of the history of book actually starts with an act of destruction, turning against these books as if they were embodiment of the heretic ideas. And it is indeed very symbolic and very strong. Because of its symbolic import, book burning at this point was the preferred method of destruction, because burning really is a total destruction. You can throw something out and you'll get rid of it, but it doesn't really destroy it. You can smash something in pieces, but it doesn't destroy it in the way that burning destroys something. You can bury it, but it also doesn't destroy. Burning indeed is the final statement, almost a public act, that somebody is going to see it. If there is a fire, there is smoke, and someone will see this now. And it's going to be a very strong statement about the value of these books. But as spectacular as the act of burning was, actually it didn't reach its aim. The ashes of the first book nurtured the rapid development of book in Latvian and book history of Latvia. It includes book trade with very old ties with Frankfurt book fairs starting from end of 15th century. Of course, the mentioned first known book, first printed text in Latvian in the middle of 16th century, preserved text, first preserved books printed in the second half of the 16th century, opening of the first printing house in Riga by Nicolaus Molin in 1588, first periodicals already jumping 2 centuries after in 1762, newspapers, growing publishing industry and networks. Also, when we talk about history of books, we have to talk about history of libraries. And the first public libraries also opened with the winds of Reformation already in 1524, followed by growing knowledge societies actively participating in the exchange of thought and which book collections demonstrate the curiosity of communities who were reading. We also look into private libraries of Baltic Germans from 17th to early 20th century, libraries of various societies, local public libraries, and finally the Castle of Light, the National Library of Latvia, opened very recently, only in 2014. When looking at another branch of book history, we also look into the history of publishing in Latvia. Well, I already mentioned the first printer who came to Riga. Actually, the publishing and printing tradition in Riga originates from Plantin's workshop in Antwerp, as his disciple, Nicholas Molin, travels to Riga and opens his printing house with all the knowledge and context from Antwerp, including his printing equipment, and also son-in-law, who continues also his active ties purchasing books from Antwerp and Frankfurt Book Fair. In large steps, this followed by translation of the Bible in Latvian language in 1694, Immanuel Kant's The Critique of Pure Reason, first published in Riga in 1781, sparking historical printing hotspots in Riga in Latvia, all around the country, and also currently in some smaller villages in Riga, Jelgava, Liepāja, and Rūjiena. The highlight of publishing in Latvia is publishing as a symbol of national awakening at the end of 19th century and early 20th century, as indeed books becomes the national vertical and base for uniting and forming a nation. Then we also go to the next chapter of reading habits and reading patterns in Latvia. In parallel, we're also looking to this. Just to mention some examples would be to name the Moravian Brethren movement in 18th century and how it advances literacy, not only religious, but also popular. Hence, by the end of the 18th century, 2/3 of the population in Vidzeme are literate already. And this really enables both spread of reading for education, but also spread of reading for entertainment, which we see in blooming in the 19th century. We also take next steps by looking in book industry and book technology in Latvia. And this also led us to develop more deeply, to delve us more deeply into the little research aspects of book history, like print technology and particularities in the Baltics, hence my passion of listening to your previous speeches. It is also looking into the inks, paper-making traditions, book-binding traditions and particularities locally in the current-day territory of Latvia. And also it has encouraged the search for local signatures, local particularities, local elements, local specificalities. So all this diversity of questions, what I have looked into, has really put a spotlight to the book history as a discipline, a very strong discipline of history in Latvia. And it allows us to promote the development of book history as a discipline of history more than a discipline of literature or library science as it was before. And from the side of the National Library, we have invested in revising and once again highlighting prominent researchers, brought much more historians into the contextualization of book history, and all in all opened the whole debate of all the fascinating aspects of the book science. But also, we have promoted the openness of the discipline to popular history programs, as well as promoted the potential of book history and book science for heritage, naming new streets, reminding of forgotten places related to books, giving and calling out forgotten local players in book history and linking them to present-day trends, establishing more and more pride in the history of the book, as well as organizing and promoting various popular events like broadcasting surveys. All in all, the program has been built around the program of the 500th anniversary has been built around the model of circuit communication developed by Professor Robert Danton. And as you saw before, our program really emphasizes the people involved in a book's production and book circuit, and the social circumstances on which books were produced. So we really focus on actually understanding the people around the books and understanding the personalities, the particularities, and what all the traits in books reveal us about them. So, taking into account the style of Professor Robert Danton to bring lightness and joy to history by eloquent writing and authentic curiosity, we are also striving to highlight book history as a very rich subject area to pursue. And even more that we are trying to demonstrate that books can be both exhibited attractively and can be a great ground for museum learning as well. And also they can be talked about as objects and testimonies of their days, and we can also delve into the diversity of their destinies. And we are very much looking forward to informing you about evolving events that some of you might be able to join. But to conclude, we can just say that the diversity of topics opened by this celebration is very wide, and we are very, very happy how we can support with this event also the discipline of history. I thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you in the next events of the book history and anniversary of the 500th anniversary of the first book printed in Latvian in Latvia. I thank you very much.